Hello, and thank you for joining us today for Tiger Talk TV. I'm joined today with Mitch Grunig, our new activities director. So we'll get to talk to Mitch in just a little bit. And first, I just want to share a few updates on the district and what's going on in Marshall Public Schools. First thing I want to talk about is the operating referendum. That's something that you're going to be hearing me talk about a lot between now and November. We have an information site that we've launched, a microsite that's linked right from our website with lots of information about the referendum and things you want to know. So I'd encourage you to visit the site. It's tomorrowstigers.org. The site, on there you're going to find all about the need. You'll see about our plan, our goals, what this plan is going to cost, and information about when and where to vote for the operating referendum this fall. I just want to share a few updates. Over the past couple of decades, we've really seen funding from the state not keeping pace with inflation is the big issue that we're seeing. And we're seeing a big gap between the cost of education and the funding that's available from the state. To address that challenge, a lot of districts, over 70% of the districts in the state, use an operating levy to fill that gap. These operating levies, they help pay for staffing, supplies, and general program costs and operating expenses. This isn't building expenses. This isn't brick and mortar. This is the operating piece, general fund money for the district. Knowing that across the state, over 70% of the districts have an operating referendum, and Marshall currently doesn't have one. Ours expired in 2018, and we haven't had one since. So right now, we have no money coming in this type of funding. Across the state, the average operating referendum is over $850. Our previous referendum in Marshall was $675 per pupil, and that's what we're asking to reinstate, is to bring that same funding level back. That would reinstate that. It would generate enough funds to help fill that gap that we need in Marshall and keep staffing and programming at the levels it currently is. So encourage you to check out again tomorrowstigers.org. That has a lot of information. There's some contact pieces. Also, if you're interested in the tax impact and what that means for you, there's a tax calculator right on that website you can click on and find out what the cost would be for you as a homeowner. A lot of things going on this fall at our schools. We had open houses, kind of a fun way to kick off the fall at each of the sites. Students and families were in. We were able to look at fall schedules, meet advisors, find lockers and opening locks. We discovered at the middle school that our 8th graders, because of COVID and the years we had to do all these things differently, they haven't used a lock. So discovered that was new for our 8th graders, having to figure out the padlocks. And I have a 7th grade son myself, and he came home and said, "Dad, I don't know how to do this." And it was a challenge, but we got through that. It was nice to have that time to do that day. Of course, scanning fingers, paying tech fees, all those kind of back to school things that we have to get done. That was a great way to start the day, and it's fun to just see kids back in the buildings. I know in the summer we spend a lot of time in our office, and it's quiet, and it's not the same as when the kids are in the hall, so it's great to have them back. I also want to share with viewers about our need for substitutes. We have need for subs in kind of all areas, so encourage anyone who might have any interest in subbing in the district, be it a teacher, a para, in the office with receptionist duties or the secretarial duties, or in the kitchens or driving buses. We need subs kind of all over the place. So anyone with interest, I encourage you to reach out to the district and talk to us about that. We have scheduled a training for district substitutes. So this is something that's going to be new. We've had a request, and we decided that's a really good idea to do something like that. We're going to look at our teaching and learning plan. We'll talk about technology in the district. We'll talk about our students with some special needs and how we can address those in our very diverse student populations and how to meet the needs of some of those students, because that's some of the questions we get from people thinking about subbing but not sure. So we're going to take some time to talk about what that looks like, answer questions, do a little Q&A. We have an 8 to noon time scheduled for coming up in the next week, but we'll do those throughout the year. So anyone interested in subbing or just want to know more about the training, reach out to the district office at 537-6924, and we can give you more information about that. Our middle school had some updates this year they were excited to share with people. Middle school has what's called the Kindness Closet that started a couple of years ago. It's a collection of donated items. So families donate items to this Kindness Closet. And we have a group of students that sorts and maintains this. It's set up kind of like a store. Items are free for anyone in need. So it's really a great project for students. The students that are doing the project are learning some life skills. They're sorting and they're organizing the materials and then selling the items, if you will, but there's no charge for that. At Open House this year, the Kindness Closet was open. We donated over 1,300 items that day, so a lot of need and a lot of things available. So it's really a nice program. Encourage anyone with interest in that to stop by for middle school students, and that's open throughout the year. Another back to school thing that's going on is our NWEA testing, so some fall benchmark testing that we do at all of our sites. That started on Tuesday, September 6th, so kind of right away we start with those tests. That's K through 12. We measure proficiency and growth in reading and in math. Some ways to kind of look at where our students are at, and then that data helps us in a couple of ways. We use it for our building goals, our QComp goals, and we use it when we're establishing which students are getting intervention and what type of intervention to provide. So it's a good benchmark for us to see where they're at. High school has a program called Link Crew. They are excited about this fall. Link Crew is a transitional program for our 9th grade students. So upperclassmen connect with incoming freshmen. They're called Link Leaders, and they just walk through some time to transition them, show them around the high school, give them some kind of ins and outs, and that was something that happened on that very first day of school at the high school. I know it's been a very successful program there. Also, Mitch helped organize, on just this last week, on Wednesday, we had an extracurricular activity fair at the high school. I think this was the first time you guys have done that. Is that correct?
We've actually been able to do it for a couple of years now. And it's really, really great opportunity for some of our other activities that maybe don't get the publicity that are on the front page of the papers to really get connected with students early on, get registered, and then get up and running quickly. And robotics was one that they were excited about that opportunity and had a lot of interest.
Great. So we had over 15 activities, you said?
Yeah.
In the fair, and a lot of students could just ask questions and learn more about it and kind of how to sign up and that sort of thing. So.
Yep. 9th and 10th graders were able to come down during kind of that open time for them and connect with coaches and participants, and it was a great opportunity for them just to get to know what Marshall High School has to offer.
Yeah, that's awesome. Knowing that students who are more involved in school tend to do better in school and tend to perform better. So make sure we're connecting kids with all those opportunities. So thank you for organizing that. I also want to inform the community, Homecoming Week is coming up. That's kind of the highlight of the fall for some of our kids, I know. Homecoming is the week of October 3rd through the 7th. Student Council is helping organize coordination. It's going to happen during the school day again there. And of course, the homecoming dance at the high school is going to be Friday night, and the football game Friday night. But kind of activities all week long with different sports activities. So I encourage you to check out the calendar on the school website for the times and locations of all the activities that week, because all of our teams, I think all of our teams have a home activity that week, so it's going to be a busy week for you, Mitch, and
absolutely
for our kids certainly, but it's certainly a fun week that's good to put together for them.
Yep.
So I want to share a little bit about a new program that we have at the schools this year, partnering with Western Mental Health. They have an intensive outpatient services for adolescents who struggle with substance abuse. They've reached out and offered to provide some services for us at the schools with that for students that struggle with some substance abuse, including vaping, marijuana, alcohol, or other substances. This program emphasizes the importance of the family and education connection with recovery. So Samantha Onken, she's a counselor with Western Mental Health. She'll be spending some time at the schools, just connecting with students that are struggling with these challenges. A couple days a week she's available to be at the schools. She'll attend some meetings and such to help those students connect with some services in the community. So certainly a need that we've seen in some different spaces. We're excited to have that available for our students. The last update I want to give before we start talking about Mitch's talk today is the City of Marshall. They have the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Group. They are putting Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Commission, excuse me. They're hosting the Welcome Week activity this year. That's going to be on Tuesday, September 20th, from 5 o'clock until 7 p.m. at Justice Park. We encourage people to attend that. The event is focused on bringing people from different backgrounds together, building connections, talking about the importance of inclusiveness and welcoming in the community. So they're going to have inflatables, activities, bucket truck rides. There's going to be some food, some free sambusas from the Hindi store, and just a chance to explore a lot of different things that afternoon that our community has to offer. So I encourage you to stop out on the 20th from 5 until 7 at Justice Park on that Tuesday afternoon. That'll be a really good activity for our community. The school is participating in that as well. All right, Mitch. You've had a busy start coming into Marshall and kind of hit the ground running with a lot of things taking place. Let's talk about that a little bit first. Maybe share a little bit about your background, kind of what brought you to Marshall, and then let's talk about the transition and how that's going.
So kind of education-wise, I graduated from NDSU with my master's in school counseling. I started as a school counselor up in West Fargo for 6 years. Also had the opportunity to coach boys hockey, girls hockey, football, and as I kind of got those experiences, I learned that I really wanted to go into administration, and I got some of my principal courses taken care of at Southwest or at Moorhead State, and took the opportunity last year to be an activities director and dean of students at a charter school in Albertville, Minnesota, before getting this opportunity to come down to Marshall and kind of live my dream in a dream position in an awesome district that fully supports their activities and what we do at Marshall High School in the middle school. It's been a great experience and a great opportunity for me and my family to come down here and really be a part of the community of Marshall.
Yeah, great. Thinking about Marshall Tiger activities, there's a lot of things going on. What do you like most about Marshall Tiger activities so far?
I honestly, I would say, because there's always something going on. There are very few nights where we don't have something going on at the high school or at the middle school for activities, whether it's volleyball or football, JV, junior high level, soccer, tennis. It's a very busy place every single day. When the bell rings, half of our students leave, but half of them are still there staying and participating in activities, which is exciting. And it gets me up in the morning ready to work for them and making sure that we're doing everything we can to give them this opportunity while they're at Marshall High School.
Yeah. I think when we think about activities director, we often think athletics, but your position is so much more than athletics. There's other pieces involved as well. I'm thinking about within the theater and the music program and the marching band, and there's a lot of other pieces that are part of it too. So you raise a really good point. We look at Marshall schools. I think I know we're very proud of all the activities we offer, and so many kids. We know we want to connect them to activities. So I think that's great. One of the big changes that's taking place this fall, we started some online ticketing last year. We used an app that maybe didn't function as well as we were hoping. So one of your first projects, you kind of had to jump in and start thinking about online ticketing. So talk a little bit about where we're at with that and what that's going to look like for people this year.
Yeah, so last year's Ticket Spigot that we used for our season passes, we are no longer using that app. We had a great opportunity to join with Hometown Ticketing. It's the same software that is used by the Minnesota State High School League for all of their state tournaments. So we felt like they were kind of blazing the trail for us and making sure that this was a good platform to use that our users would enjoy and not have some of the challenges that some of the other platforms have shown. So we kind of got started a little bit later than what was ideal. And we're up and running now. All of our passes can be purchased right on our activity website using the Hometown link, or they can just download the Hometown ticketing app on your device and search Marshall, and will be an option for them to select to purchase their passes. They can also purchase game day tickets as well ahead of time. I see some games in the future that might be a little bit tight to get in. So that will give our community an opportunity to purchase ahead of time.
Sure.
But beyond just athletics, we can also use it for things like our musical, and we can use it for dances and stuff like that. So we can kind of control the access and who's coming in and have record, how many people attended. It just is going to make our office work a little bit better, function a little bit easier, and then make some of the reporting at the end a little bit smoother as well. But also, honestly, the biggest reason for us was it gave our community and people that were coming in another opportunity to, or another way to enter our events. So prior we were just cash or check, and now we have the opportunity to go, fully online. Credit card is available as well. We will continue to use those different avenues. We won't be cashless for a while until our community fully accepts that. But it's also, the same platform that you're going to see if you go to a Mankato school, who we're playing frequently. So try to have a little bit of consistency across different schools and districts. And we felt like hometown was that opportunity to do that.
Sure. I think that makes a lot of sense. So families are people that are still comfortable using cash. That's still an option for them, but another way to purchase tickets for either the game day or if they want the season pass, just to purchase that and have that. So then when they buy the ticket, they bring their phone along, or how does that work when they enter the game?
Yeah, so a couple different options. One is the phone. It's easy. It's always usually with you. So you can bring that with you and we'll scan it or just let you in because we can see on there whether it's a pass or it's a ticket for what event and allow you to access the event at that point. And for others that maybe aren't super comfortable with the app, there's the opportunity to print. So if they would like to purchase it and then print their own copy, they can have a hard copy and laminate it. For those that we give free passes to our senior citizens that are supportive of martial activities, and they can gain a hard card pass at any of our events just by simply going up and asking one of our ticket takers. So it allows for the versatility to really meet the needs of a variety of different patrons that are coming in.
Perfect. Kind of keep up with the times. So senior citizens are still getting in free. I know that was something that was kind of new last year, but it was well received, and we certainly want to continue to support. So they get in for free, and high school students also get in free to activities. So we certainly want to encourage our students to attend as well and support their classmates. So that's great. Thank you for working on that. One of the things that takes place, and there's a lot of things that take place behind the scenes. I think sometimes you might think activities directors there make sure that everything's ready on game night. But there's a lot of other pieces that happen. One of the big leadership things that you do is with the leadership team. Can you talk a little bit about what that role is and maybe who serves on that team for you?
Yeah, so part of the activities department, beyond just the me, my admin assistant, and events coordinator, we also have our activities leadership team, which is a group of coaches and advisors from different programs that come together, and we're able to kind of connect and come up, whether it's ideas or direction that we need to kind of take the activities department. It's a great group that has experience, and it helps guide us in the direction that martial activities needs to go. I haven't been able to really give them a lot yet. Our first meeting is scheduled for next Wednesday. So I'm looking forward to kind of throwing some things at them and getting their ideas and just gaining their perspective on some of the topics.
Perfect. No, that's great. I know one of the things that I see when I'm in the gym or on the locker room doors, it says "Life as a Tiger." Can you talk a little bit about that and what that means for our students?
Yeah. So Mr. Rebbe developed that with the activity leadership team a couple years ago. And so I was introduced right away with what it means to be a tiger. And before I even saw this or got introduced, I knew quickly what it was like, or what life in this community and being in our activities meant. And then kind of taking a deep dive into Life of a Tiger and kind of the pillars of what makes our activities great is something that I'm proud that we have. And it helps us just to kind of, the decisions that we make are made because of those pillars. So whether excellence or integrity are some of the big words. Like, we want to make sure that our kids are getting those opportunities to develop those skills and give them those experiences. Yeah. So it's just a great thing to kind of go back to make sure that we're doing what's best for the students. And Life of a Tiger, or Life as a Tiger, is part of that.
Great. So some common language kind of across activities to encourage kids to live that out, that philosophy that we have at Marshall Public Schools. So
absolutely.
That's great. I know a big question that we've had this fall and kind of through the last year, we've been working on this pool project at the middle school. So we haven't had a swimming pool in a while, but we've had a space for one. So that space has been filled in. That multi-purpose room at the middle school, that location's seen a lot of work over the past year. And now coming in, we've talked about what we do with that, and gymnastics is moving over there. It's going to be kind of the big use of that space. Talk a little bit about that, what that's going to look like for our gymnastics team. Certainly a big change, and I think a very positive change for our community.
Oh, absolutely. It is something that was needed for that program to really take the next step and make the leap into where it needs to be and what's best for our students. Going over there, it's going to allow us to have a little bit more space, a little bit more room to set up equipment and do some more training activities, and then also at the same time not have to constantly take it back up and store it away and then bring it back out. It's going to be a practice facility, and it'll also be a competition facility for gymnastics. And it's just going to be a great opportunity really to showcase Marshall Gymnastics and what that program's doing. And I'm just so thankful I walked into that change because it's going to be just great to see that program grow. And at the same time, give us a little bit more space at the high school, and then also give us a little bit more space at the middle school as needed, because it's going to be the multifunctional room where we can do some different and unique things.
Right, some space we really haven't used for the last few years because it was an empty swimming pool, so we couldn't do much with it.
Yeah.
So for those that aren't familiar with it, at the high school, gymnastics had a room, but the gymnastics it wasn't set up to do. We couldn't host anything other than practice in there. So anytime we had a meet, we had to take all the equipment, move it into the gym, set it up, and then afterwards haul it all back. It was a lot of extra work, wear and tear on the equipment, and just not real convenient for our teams. So all this is moving there. It's going to be in one spot. The meets and the practices can be in the same location. And for anyone that remembers that old area, the bleachers upstairs in the middle school gym actually turn around so they can face that direction. So it'll be a nice spot for visitors and spectators to watch the meets too. So yeah, very positive change in that regard.
Yeah, it was just great to see how it all kind of came together and how it's going to work really well for hosting competitions. And I just wish we could have been able to hold sections there and not kind of how things worked out last year. And the one piece with equipment, just being able to have equipment that's going to stay there, that's going to be in good shape because we're not constantly moving it around. We'll save certainly on that, the wear and tear. Also the amount of man hours it takes to move all of that stuff. We're thankful that that'll be limited now with having kind of a more dedicated space, but also give us the flexibility still.
Yeah, that's great. And it's a little bit early for that. Gymnastics hasn't started yet, but it'll be here before we know it.
Yeah, and they are
chomping fast.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're chomping at the bit to get it set up. It's all over there, but they're just waiting to get the okay. There's a couple small things to kind of take care of still before they're able to kind of set up. We have some equipment that's still working its way here, and hopefully we'll be here before the first practice. But it's exciting.
That's great. That's great. I know another thing that we're hearing a lot about this fall, and certainly it's in more areas than just with activities, but transportation is a challenge. I mentioned earlier we're short on subs, including for bus drivers. So I'll put a plug again, anyone who might have interest in driving bus, we certainly need some help there. But what is that meaning for our teams this year, and what are you doing to overcome some of those obstacles we're facing right now?
Yeah, so transportation, I mean, it's an issue across the country. It's certainly not just Marshall, but for us, probably for the first time, we're having to make some adjustments, sometimes day of, on when games and events are going to start. For instance, a lot of junior high events are going to have to be pushed back a little bit to allow bus drivers to do a route and then come back and pick students up. So it limits us in where we're able to go and what we're able to do. We had a rescheduled cross-country meet that we had to kind of last minute put together a plan and got, we were able to get our school vans and take enough students, take a varsity team anyways to compete in a meet. We would have loved to be able to take, our JV and junior high students, but we weren't able to get a bus driver, and that's where we're kind of at. And you just in this role, you got to be flexible and be willing to kind of plan, but at the same time be ready to adjust on the fly, because in today's world and kind of the limited resources that we have, you got to be ready to make some adjustments last minute if needed. So it's just put us in a little bit of a pickle. We're getting through it. We'll figure it out. but it puts a little extra stress on all of us, whether it's administrators, bus drivers, coaches, participants, parents, because times are changing then because they're getting back a little later or something like that. So it's just we'll figure it out. We'll get through it, and at the same time, any help that people can provide is certainly great.
Yeah. I know Southwest Coaches, our bus company, they've been a great partner with this and doing a really great job to help us keep up with that as well. So thank you for your continued work with that, because the feeling is going to be a challenge we face throughout the year. So people that want to know more about Tiger activities, some good ways that they can communicate or they can kind of see updates, what would you encourage them to do?
Yeah, two great options. One would be our activity website. We do a pretty good job of keeping that updated throughout the year. Our activity scheduler is right on there, so they can see what events are happening, what day, what time, location. That's all right there, and it's the same schedule that everyone else sees. Our opponents, what's on their schedule as well. So it gives them live, up-to-date information, and if anything changes, that's where I go first. Yeah. So if we have a bus time that changes or a game time, that's where you're going to get the best and most accurate information. And if you're looking for results or seeing how teams are doing, obviously local media does a great job here in Marshall, but also don't be afraid to follow us on Twitter as well. Most of our activities have a specific Twitter page, but also the activities department has a page that we try to keep everyone informed on how things went, whether it's our home cross country event on Tuesday, posting those results so people can kind of take a look at how people finished, or if they want to know the volleyball score, that's always available as well.
Great. And your Twitter handle?
Twitter handle, I can't
Not
remember.
to put you on the spot.
It is on our school website.
Okay.
So right on the activity page, there's a direct link to our activity Twitter handle. So.
Great. All right, Mitch, we're just about out of time, but any last minute things you want to share with the viewers today that we haven't already talked about?
Yeah, I really appreciate this opportunity to come down and talk to the community of Marshall and express, my enjoyment for this position. And it's a lot, but at the same time, every day is rewarding. Yeah. Getting to work with an awesome community, great students, great parents that are wanting to be involved. I don't struggle a whole lot to find workers, which is a rarity. So I really appreciate the amount of support that we get in the activities department. So honestly, just thank you, to be honest. So
yeah, great. Well, thank you so much for all you do. I know it's been a busy start to the year, but you're doing a great job. I'm really glad to have you here in Marshall with us. So thank you for joining me today with this too. And thank you to the viewers for watching. We'll see you next month.